Okay, so let's go back in the way back time machine, and it is in the very early 2000s. I am in my early 20s. I'm in my first sales role. I've been working for a remanufacturer for a few years. I kind of understood I had built the product myself. I had managed the people who were building that product. And so I knew it very, very well. But we were having a problem with one distributor who was claiming an unusually high number of warranties. And so I went over to Vancouver Island and I drove up to our distributor's location and we went into the field together. So I was the manufacturing rep. I'm going out with the sales account manager and we go visit this customer. And as we walk through the bay door of the shop, I see a pile. I'm talking a pile of our valves on the floor. And that was their warranty location. And they were just throwing them in this pile. And I mean, this pile was probably like 2 feet deep. And I mean, I knew there was no possible way that much of our product was failing with only one customer, right? Because our warranty rates were very low with all of our other customers. So something was unique about this situation. And I was going there with an open mind to try to solve the problem. And this mechanic who he was the lead mechanic. He'd been there for 3 decades plus. He really had an attitude, and he kind of sauntered out and he controlled a large amount of spending with this distributor. So the distributor was nervous. He didn't want to lose the business, and this is what this guy was threatening. And so he hits me right out of the gate with, I've been doing this for 35 years, and I know what I'm doing, and your product is garbage. And I was feeling a little nervous. I'm a young guy, and I'm just looking at this pile of valves, and I see a Williams 616A valve. It is the most simple valve known to man. It is basically a bottom housing, a top housing, one O-ring, and a diaphragm. And the air goes in the top, and the diaphragm flexes, and then it purges the air out the bottom. It's just a quick release valve is all it is. It's like so easy to manufacture. They never fail. And I saw one at the top of the pile. And so I looked at him and I said, I think you've been doing this 10 years too long. And he just like lost his mind. And my distributor just about fainted. And the guy was like, you, and he's just, you young person, he's just like all over me, right? And he's swearing at me and yelling at me. And I just put my hands up. I said, whoa, wait a minute. I said, I tell you what, I'm going to pick a random valve out of this pile and we're going to go over to that air bench and we're going to test it. And if it fails, I'm taking the entire pile back with me right now. I'm giving you a full credit and we will replace all of the product with not remanufactured product, but brand new product. But if it works, you have to admit that maybe there's something you guys are doing in the shop that's incorrect. And maybe I'm right. Maybe you've just been doing this 10 years too long and you're just not paying attention to this. And he stopped, and he was a very assertive guy, right? So I was matching his level of assertiveness. So there was almost like this little bit of like, you SOB, but at the same time, like, you're on, buddy, because I know I'm right. Now I knew there was no way in heck I was picking a valve that was complex that might actually be a warranty. So, but he didn't know that. So I go and I pick that 616A valve up. We go over to the test bench. I put in the fittings. I air it up. And I'm like, any leaks? Anything that works? Or doesn't work here the way it's supposed to? And the look on his face, and good to him, he's like, yeah, okay, maybe we got a problem. And so in the end, that deal worked out. Like he calmed down and there was a bit of respect, and we worked through all of those potential warranties. I did a whole bunch of testing that day, and we did find a couple that there was something wrong with them, but actually most of them were contaminated by them. But most of them were fine. And so that forced this guy, because now he's a man of his word, right? He's made a wager with me and he lost. And so it's just a good example. Like, it's not heavy duty to be rigid and to be inflexible and to kind of operate on old information the way equipment used to work. You've got to adapt. Now, remember, this was back in the early 2000s. This is almost 20 years ago. Now, it is so much more important that we are adaptable, that we keep up with the new technology, that we update the way that we do things, so that rigidness, that resistance to change doesn't really have a detrimental impact on our business. That's the heavy duty way.